Welcome back to the Bookcast. This is author D.L. White. I am reading The Kwanzaa Brunch, a holiday novella. This is my 2019 holiday release, and we are on chapter 6. Booker. Much later than I'd intended, full of a gourmet burger, fries, and more than a few drinks from a restaurant down the street, I walked through my front door. There were plenty of good food spots to choose from, and I was making my way through them all. I dropped my bag and didn't give it another thought as I towed my shoes off. I left them at the door, too, and tossed my keys on the counter as I passed it. I pulled my phone from my pocket, wincing at the number of missed calls, text, and WhatsApp messages. I dropped onto the couch, reached for the remote, and kicked my feet up onto the coffee table, turning on the TV before thumbing a security code into my phone. SportsCenter blared through the surround sound speakers as I scrolled past all of the calls and messages from Tara. Eventually, I was going to block her, but for now, I supposed it made me feel good to know that she realized she'd lost a good man. Part of me loved to see her beg for me to come back. The rest of me felt like shit for enjoying her pain, but then I knew she wasn't really in pain. She was fuming that she wasn't getting her way and couldn't use me anymore. I popped open a running chat I had with my boys back in Baton Rouge. Ryan. What's up with Booker? Atlanta ate him up? Greg. Ain't heard from Booker in days. He said he's in training or whatever. Anybody think he's training somebody on how to give him head? Jordan. Swear to God, G gotta find a way to bring up head every day. Ryan. A sign he ain't getting any. Greg. Y'all don't get none either. Jordan. I'm not part of that y'all. Ayana. Well, you know. Ryan. Hashtag also. I would tell y'all about Nala's head game, but you dudes gossip too much. Be telling all my secrets. I chuckled, then tapped a post to reply. Booker. Only fools not from Atlanta call it Hotlanta, fool. You gotta kill that before you come through. Ryan. Hey, what's good? Booker. Not much. Training is kicking my ass, but the gig is real good. Jordan. Hey, Book. Gig is better than 2X? I grinned at the phone, taking pleasure in typing out my braggadocious response. Booker. In every way. A nice bump in salary. The mood seems good so far. Cafeteria and a nice coffee spot on the first floor. I get my office tomorrow. We had some kind of Kwanzaa thing today, if that says anything. And no Tara Dupree. Jordan. That's the best perk right there. Booker. She's blowing up my phone, though. Greg. Still? Ain't it been like a year? Jordan. Got your hooks in her. Now she can't let go. Ryan. Told you not to marry that girl. I had to give the nod to Ryan. He did tell me all the way up to 5 minutes before we walked into the courthouse. Booker. Yeah, you did tell me that. You want a cookie or some shit for being right? Ryan. Yeah, send me my goddamn cookies. She's still big mad you signed those papers? Booker. Big mad. Trying to come back and shit. Hell no. Greg. You won, though. Going to the competition to make mo money. Booker. Yeah, I'm hyped to push Double X off the leaderboard. Any way I can help Precision make that move, I'm on that. Booker. What else is up out there? We about to watch Braun run this game? I laughed out loud, reading the day-to-day antics of my friends back home while we watched the Lakers stomp the Miami Heat. I miss my boys more than I thought I would, but I had to make the move that was best for me. Besides, the plan was for all of us to leave Louisiana. Whoever left first would scope out a new spot, and if all went well, the rest would follow. Ryan and Greg would be in Atlanta within the year. Jordan was married, and his wife would have to be dragged, kicking and screaming, from Baton Rouge. Not a big deal, though. Ayanna was all about Jordan getting time away with his friends. We would see plenty of him. Booker. Good game, good game. Braun makes a Lakers game watchable. Ryan. You a sucker, Book. Just admit you're coming around. Booker. Never. What you about to do? Ryan, Nala back there whining because I'm on the internet and watching basketball. I guess I gotta go be hashtag boyfriend goals. Greg, head, Jordan, getting some? Greg, no, just haven't mentioned it lately. Booker, I'm about to turn in and let you fools clown Greg. Peace. I didn't even wait for them to say goodnight. I locked the phone and heaved myself up from the couch, ignoring the empty water bottles and the glass I'd left on the coffee table, and headed down the hall to the bedroom. I went into the master bathroom and turned on the shower, but a ping from my phone drew my attention. It was the standard text tone, which meant it was someone unfamiliar. Anthony Thomas. You watched that game? Braun is sick. I carried the phone into the bathroom, catching the wrinkle creasing my forehead in the nearly steamed up mirror. Why was Anthony texting me so late? We could just talk in the morning. I shrugged and tapped out an answer. Booker. Sure did. Enjoyed that win, even though I'm not a Lakers fan. Anthony. A lot of non-Lakers fans sure do watch a lot of Lakers games. Booker. LOL. Just saying. I wasn't watching them before LeBron came to the team. Anthony. I'm playing with you. You got plans for New Year's Eve? I paused, thinking back to lunch when Sienna had suggested that Anthony invite me to something, but he had shut that down quickly. Now I was getting an invite? Booker. Not yet. I was thinking about heading back to Baton Rouge, but my friends all bought tickets to some big event with their girls. Anthony. Well, no pressure, but my wife has ordered me to extend an invitation to our party. It's casual, jeans are fine. I'll give you the details in the morning if you're interested. I grabbed the collar of the polo I'd worn that day at the back of my neck and pulled it up and over my head, dropping it at my feet. My pants and boxers followed, then, standing nude in my bathroom, the spacious, bland palette of the room blanketed in steam, I tapped out the question I was afraid to ask, that I had no business asking, with Tara filling up my text message inbox. Booker. Sienna gonna be there? The text message dots bounced, then paused, then bounced. Anthony. Yep. Huh. Earlier he had said, but now. Huh. Booker. Is this a thing where you're asking to be nice, but I should refuse because it's gonna be some fuck shit? Anthony. LOL. No, man, it's a nice time. And you want to taste my wife's cooking. She goes all out for the holidays. I might could talk her into making you a pot of red beans and rice if it'll convince you to come out. I nodded, giving a fist bump to nobody. I'd go through hell for red beans and rice. Booker. Magic words. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Anthony. Bet. Oh, and be early. Faith has catering jobs lined up until New Year's Eve, so I'll be getting the house ready. I'm cutting out about mid-morning. We have a lot to cover. Booker. Aight. Sounds good. I set the phone down on the counter and stepped into the shower, smiling while I pulled the glass doors closed behind me. Something had changed. I could feel it. Chapter 7. Sienna. And we are. With a flourish, I pressed the enter button on my keyboard, grinning as I watched the last of my reports fly off into the ethernet, or somebody's mailbox anywhere but on my desk or on my to-do list. Done! Arms outstretched, I sang out loud to no one. I immediately flipped the music that had gotten me through the last working day of the year from my headphones to the small but powerful speaker sitting on my desk. It was well after hours on a light staff day. Anyone who was still hanging around, burning the early evening oil, deserved to be treated to good music. Whitney Houston's golden voice trilled as she masterfully slayed every note change in her rendition of Joy to the World. I stood, knocking my chair back, mimicking direction of the Georgia Mass Choir, full and beautiful in the background. As the daughter of Lighthouse Baptist longtime choir director, I could at least pretend that I knew what I was doing. Just as Whitney, backed by the choir, reached a fever-pitched crescendo, the door to my office popped open, and Booker stepped in. He was in dark rinsed jeans and a long-sleeved, light blue t-shirt, but the unexpected pop-up made my heart drop to the pit of my stomach. He was amused, evidenced by the grin that split his face. He dropped the folder he'd been carrying onto my desk, clapped his hands, and began swaying in time as if he was in the choir I was directing. I screeched in laughter that was way too loud, even for a quiet office. I reached for the keyboard to press the pause button. Phew! I fanned myself, still giggling at his dancing. I'd worn an ugly holiday sweater to work, Zariah's idea, and it was warm in the enclosed space. Also, my handsome as fuck new coworker had just joined me in a ridiculous song and dance in my office. Booker took it in stride, not even breathing hard as he reached for the folder that he had tossed onto my desk. You'll have to excuse me. Ain't heard a good mass choir since Meemaw's funeral. You had a mass choir at your grandmother's funeral? Oh, she had her homegoing all arranged just the way she wanted it, full of love, lots of laughing, and lots of music. The sound of a choir brings real good memories for me. I got a little caught up. I don't hold it against you at all. A mass choir and Queen Whitney, turn up. Joy to the world indeed. He looked around, then grabbed the single guest chair and took a seat. He hadn't even broken a sweat, and he was close enough when he leaned forward and rested his elbows on his knees for me to tell. I hope you don't mind that I came to your office. Anthony said you like for people to call, but I also noticed you don't pick up the phone when he calls. I pulled my desk chair back so I could sit as well. Anthony and I, well, we have a different kind of relationship. I promise I'll actually be professional with you. I don't need any special treatment. I just don't want to bother you. You're not a bother, Booker, really. Okay then, he smiled, then nodded. Okay then. So, you came up here for something? He flipped the folder open. I recognized the account profile for Henderson Mechanics, an auto repair shop with locations all over Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. I was talking with Victor Henderson today, and he asked me to check on a few application functions that he thinks he should have access to. Anthony dipped out a few days ago, but I saw your car in the parking lot. I clicked a few keys, bringing up the Henderson account in the Precision database. What can I help you with? We review Victor's questions and requests, and I detail the features that would become available to his shops as he increased his subscription rate. Henderson was still small potatoes compared to Napa Auto and their counterparts, but his goal was to have black-owned repair and auto parts shops nationwide. Precision Systems software aimed to grow with him every step of the way. He can have these features tomorrow if he wants them. All of them are enabled, just not at the level of service he's paying for. If he wants to upgrade, which Anthony has been trying to talk him into for years, he'll have the full software suite and it'll open up capabilities for him. Booker relaxed in the chair as well as he could relax in an uncomfortable side chair, folding his arms across his chest. Years, you said. Anthony is a damn good salesman. If this was a money thing, he would have wrapped this up. Anthony seems to think it's about money, and Victor is being cheap. I don't, though, I said, shaking his head. Victor is about my dad's age, mid-60s, doing well for himself. He could stay comfortable if he doesn't make any moves, make it work with what he's got, or he could stretch a little, take a risk, see how it plays out. Then this becomes a matter of showing him how taking a leap could make his life better. A little investment could bring him a nice payback, and then some. Exactly. And the fact that you picked right up on that tells me that you're just the man for the job. Not that Anthony isn't. He's just motivated by something entirely different. I flipped the folder closed and handed it to him. He took it, but his brown eyes bore into mine. I guess I know how that feels to face that choice. I know how good it is on the other side of that jump. I guess you do. So use that, Booker. Good advice. So, he tucked the folder under his arm and gave no indication that he was planning to leave my office soon, which was fine because while I wasn't fond of in-person visits, I wasn't in a hurry for him to leave. So, I prodded, hiking my brow up a bit. Well, the other night, you mentioned that you knew of some spots around here where we could grab a bite. I kind of dropped you in a rude way, and I feel bad about that. I hope that I could take you up on that rain check. My mouth formed a perfectly round O. I hadn't expected him to bring up the other night. I blushed internally at the way I fumed and stomped away from him, then called Faith and wrangled a dinner invite so I could bitch all night about the man that wouldn't ignore a phone call to go to dinner with me. I know it's last minute, but it's still pretty early and I'm hungry. Since you're here, you must be too, unless you had plans and you were just sticking around to meet up with someone. I waved a hand, dismissing that. I'd normally be out of the door at 4:30 and perched up at one of my favorite haunts, a hotel lobby, a dive bar for trivia night, or one of the casual eateries near my condo. More often than not, I'd be trying not to yawn in the face of someone who thought he was impressing me with his sports car, or his designer suit, or his Egyptian silk socks, meanwhile hoping he was packing enough to make the evening worth my time. Since my conversation with Faith and Anthony, I hadn't been interested in hanging out at my usual places in my hot girl gear, trying to make do with the same old, same old. I was, honestly, going to try to be better about paying attention to men who were paying attention to me, like the one sitting in my office. I'm starving, actually, but I have quiche and a green salad waiting for me at home. Quiche? Salad? His face crinkled up and he sneered, tilting his head so he was actually giving me the side eye. When you could have ribs or whatever? Well, Faith's party is tomorrow, and I have a system. I keep it light the night before, that way I can act a fool at her table. I know some people will be wearing their New Year's Eve best. I'm wearing my nicest pair of leggings, if that gives you any indication of the ridiculous amount of food I plan to eat. She's that good of a cook? Huh. I might need to follow your lead. Not tonight, though. I'm crazy hungry. Booker pushed a soft, sexy groan through pursed lips and stood, moving toward the door. He slapped the folder against his thigh and raised a hand in a wave. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Then he was gone, already headed down the hall toward the elevators. In a split second, I hopped up and hurried around my desk. Booker, I called to his retreating back. He stopped and turned. He'd only made it a few doors down the hall, so I walked toward him and he closed the space between us. You're welcome to join me. For quiche. I live close. He chuckled, wrapping one large hand around the opposite wrist. No offense, Sienna, but quiche and salad isn't going to cut it for me. Appreciate the offer, though. Well, wait. I know my way around a DoorDash menu. We could order some ribs or whatever. Unless you have plans, unless you're sticking around to. All right. Okay. Twist my arm, he said, giving up entirely too easily and much to my delight. I grinned, feeling victorious. It was looking like a boring night for the girl, but things were looking up. Whereabouts do you live? My condo happened to be down the street from Booker's apartment complex. In recent years, mixed-use developments had sprung up surrounding Precision Software and other businesses in downtown Alpharetta, Georgia, and Atlanta suburb. Acres of retail, entertainment, and housing had created the perfect live, work, play footprint, bringing more residents and employers to the area. Most of the staff at Precision lived in one of the apartments or condos just a few miles from the office. I'd shut my system down and rushed home right after Booker agreed to have dinner with me. I'd hardly been home to do more than sleep, eat, and change clothes all week, so the place was looking as clean as the Merry Maid staff had left it the week before. I flipped the switch so that the pearl lights on the Christmas tree and around the windows glowed. I lit a few peppermint candles and positioned the plethora of red velvet bows that I'd put up in various spots throughout the place just right. Just before 3 strong knocks sounded at the door, I queued up my Holiday Soul playlist. The OJ's White Christmas wafted from the speakers as I pulled the door open. Booker was on the other side, wearing the same thing he'd worn to work, but he'd gone home first too. His goatee had been cleaned up, his skin glowed, his low cut looked freshly brushed. You found me. Come on in. I stepped back and let him in, sucking in a scent I recognized, Coach Platinum. It enveloped him, tinging the air with a sweet, spicy, manly aroma. He handed me a bottle of Veuve Clicquot while he shrugged off a worn leather jacket. Precision must pay nice at your level. I looked at a model of these condos, but decided they were too pricey right now. So you spent the extra money on champagne? I laughed, taking the bottle, then took his jacket and hung it on a hook near the front door. I couldn't show up empty-handed, he said. No, I got that from my realtor when I finally decided on an apartment. I don't really drink champagne. I figured you could probably find more reasons to drink it than I could. You figured right. Thanks for the hand-me-down. I waved him down the hallway and past the kitchen to the living room. I bought this unit 10 years ago and did little updates here and there. The investors that own the property started renovating the units a few years ago. If I want mine updated, I have to move out for 4 months. I set the bottle of champagne on the coffee table next to a bright red poinsettia and dropped onto the couch, exhaling a long, loud sigh. Make yourself comfortable, I told him. He did so, having a seat on the cushion next to me. He stretched his long legs, crossing them at the ankles under the coffee table. How are you liking Precision so far? I hope they're taking good care of you, even though they make us wear ugly shit like this sweater. He glanced at my sweater and burst into laughter like he hadn't noticed it earlier. It was an oversized blue knit with a macrame gingerbread house and 2 candy canes on the front of it. Precision is all right so far. It's different. He paused, an odd expression clouding his face, but then the cloud dissipated and he smiled, pointing to my sweater. You know, you don't actually have to participate in these things, Kwanzaa lunches and themed clothing days. Zoe can't fire you for not wearing an ugly sweater. Oh, I know. It's a solidarity thing. I can't stand her chummy, we're a team bullshit like she doesn't make a smooth 100 grand more a year than I do. I huffed, rolling my eyes. But our community, the software industry especially, has so few black woman CEOs. I want Zariah to topple all of the tech bros, so I'll throw my support behind her. To a point. So you're not going to wobble with me at the company picnic next year? Oh, I didn't say that. I am the wobble queen. In the meantime, I promise not to harass you about going to potluck lunches and other corporate schmooze bullshit. And I know that's supposed to be an ugly sweater, but it looks mighty cute on you. So you win anyway. Thanks. That's sweet of you to say. My heart thumped wildly under said ugly but cute sweater. I didn't know if he was flirting or just being nice, but I never turned down a compliment. I sat up, reaching for the MacBook that had been sitting on the coffee table. We'd better order something for you, or it'll take all night to get here. Did you really want ribs? Or whatever, he answered, scooting so closely that his shoulder smashed into mine. My kryptonite was a good-smelling man, and his cologne danced on my nerve endings in a delicious way. You live around here. What do you recommend? I clicked around my DoorDash account, bringing up my recent history. Smokestack is really good. Q is good too, for ribs, or whatever. I glanced up, realizing too late that our faces were mere inches apart. My gaze met his, and for a few seconds we both froze, fully aware that the moment could go either way. I fancied myself a modern woman that went for what she wanted, so I was never opposed to making the first move, but this time my gut told me to hang back. Let him decide which way he wanted to go. Booker leaned in, and my breath hitched in my throat. My eyes reflexively closed, but when his lips didn't gently press themselves against mine, they fluttered open again. He was flipping through cards in his wallet. Is Smokestack the best you've ever had? Like, I'm in the mood for some good food. I shrugged, trying to come back from embarrassment and failing miserably. He wasn't going to kiss me. He was pulling his wallet from his pocket. My face was in flames and I was hot, like someone had turned the temperature in my condo to 103 degrees. They're really good, I managed to push out. Q is better, but they're slow. You sound like you know what you're talking about, so I'll let you pick. He handed me an American Express black card and flipped his wallet closed. Order something for yourself. Quiche and salad my ass. Make sure we get some bread. Chapter 8. Booker. Sienna decided to go with Q, but as promised, they were moving slow, so she cut a few slices of that quiche I had talked shit about and warmed them up. It was savory with spinach and onions and a flaky crust. It wouldn't do much to satisfy my hunger, but it was tasty. We ate and chatted while we waited for actual dinner to arrive. So, you've been at Precision for a minute. A lot of people job hop these days. I certainly have. You must really like it. I do, Sienna said, before a forkful of food disappeared into her mouth. She chewed, then swallowed. I guess I like the field. It's cutting edge, you know. The engineers work hard to not only keep up with the competition, but to best them, to offer capabilities that no one else is offering. We definitely have more potential for growth than Double X. I wish I could tag team Anthony's area with him. He's a force. He is. He's good at his job. He's a pain in the ass, but by now, I can't imagine not working with him. I scraped the last of the egg dish from my plate, but I was still hungry. I glanced up at the clock to see how long I had to last before our delivery was set to arrive. You two seem close. Is that the long friendship talking, or the years of working together? Both, I guess. We've learned how to manage our friendship and our work relationship. You'll develop a relationship with your analyst too. They're designed to be your right hand, your go to. I know Anthony's, well, your accounts now, better than he knows them because I'm in the files every day. To tell you the truth, I regretted even starting that sentence and knew to my core that I shouldn't finish it. My attraction to Sienna was about to get me in trouble. Again. But it wasn't like I could suck the words back in. Ah, well, I was a big boy. I could probably handle one more heartbreak. To tell you the truth, I started again. I'd love it if I could keep you on my accounts. I don't want to have to invent reasons to come to your office. And you'd want to come to see me? Yeah, like every day. After a few beats, she asked, for like work reasons? Or whatever, I answered. Inside those doors at Precision, your demeanor says, go away. You have this antisocial thing going, like that mean mug you had on when I met you in the elevator. In my defense, I was grumpy because Anthony made me come downstairs. And that hoodie you wear that says fuck off? She cackled. Faith gave me that hoodie. It does not say fuck off, Booker. You don't seem like you'd want someone to come see you. I chuckled, and so did she. You're a tough nut, Sienna. You require work. I suppose I like a challenge, a puzzle. I don't know, maybe that's my problem. Your problem? She asked. At the same time, the doorbell chimed, and right on time because I was a little too warm, a little too comfortable, and getting a little too close to opening up to Sienna. I got up and followed her to the door, grabbed the bag from the delivery guy, and slipped him a nice bill. He smiled in surprise. Happy holidays to you. I fist bumped the young man and watched him bounce down the hall with some pep in his step. When I walked back inside, Sienna closed the door, then glanced up at me. You know you can tip on the app, right? Yeah, but my boy Ryan works weekends for a food delivery service. He don't always get his tips, so I like to give cash. That guy's basically running his own business. Down with capitalism. Sienna laughed, following me back down the hall. All right, as we get ready to eat a meal made possible by a capitalist society and delivered by the employee of a wealthy corporation. She paused in the kitchen and grabbed a couple of clean plates, silverware, and napkins. Your life is about to change, Booker. Q is an experience. When you said experience, I was expecting good. That, I wiped my mouth, then my brow, then tossed the napkin onto my decimated plate. I would have licked the sauce off the porcelain, but I wanted Sienna to still be impressed with me. It's amazing, isn't it? Otherworldly. I halfway want to call him back, cuss him out for being so good, and order more food just to be greedy. Well, they're not going anywhere, and now you know about Q. Next time we'll try Smokestack, and you can compare and contrast. Next time, you gonna let me enjoy your presence one more time? Booker, she giggled, slapping my arm. Stop that. If I didn't want you to be here, you wouldn't be. Is that so? She bobbed her head in a nod. Because I bought you dinner? I don't date men for dinner. I can buy me dinner. Breakfast, lunch, brunch, dinner. What the fuck is dinner? Sounds like some shit college girls made up. Some shit Faith and I made up in college, smartass. It's the meal between lunch and dinner. It made us feel better about having a bowl of noodles in the middle of the afternoon, especially after that 2 o'clock government class freshman year. You know, that's one thing I missed out on. I clicked my tongue. College friends. Old friends are old friends. You mentioned Ryan? Where did you meet him? Work, I answered. All my close friends I met through various jobs. Dishwasher, line cook, construction. It was just me and Meemaw for a long time. I didn't win any scholarships for college, and Social Security only goes so far. She definitely couldn't pay for it, though she wanted to. I wanted to help keep the lights on, and when I stopped talking, because why? Why was I telling my business to this woman? We worked together. I didn't know her, and she didn't know me. I didn't want her interest in me to be based on a sob story. When? Sienna prodded, reaching out to grab her half empty glass of water and sinking back into the soft cushions on the overstuffed couch. I'm nosy, so I'm here to listen if you want to talk, but you don't have to. She scooted closer, eyes wide. My mouth just fell open. When she started not being able to breathe, not being able to regulate her heartbeat, things got serious. Doc diagnosed her with heart failure. I needed to be able to pay for care that Medicaid didn't cover, so I went out and hustled, did some odd jobs, but my main job was at Double X, working in customer care for a while. Sienna nodded. You showed potential, so they moved you up, huh? We keep a good eye on our care staff, too. They make great salesmen because we know the customer and how the software works. Anyway, yeah, I moved up quick, first to tech support and then sales, and I met this woman, boss's daughter. She was a lot. Is a lot code for bitch who destroyed your life? I pretty much participated in destroying my own life like a clown. I just wanted to take care of my grandmother, make her comfortable. Tara's father owns Double X Systems. He made her work there, I guess, so he could keep an eye on her. An eyebrow hiked up at the mention of Tara's name. I'd said it that night on the phone when I had to beg off of dinner with Sienna. Dinner I should have taken her up on instead of arguing with Tara. Yeah, I said, confirming the unasked question. Her. Tara's father wouldn't support her if she didn't work for him. She could get a job or whatever, but if she needed money from Daddy, she had to work at Double X. They had some kind of deal where if she got married, he would give her a lump sum of money. So she floated this plan to make her dad think she had fallen in love, that we were engaged. Then she gets the lump sum and we split it. I have money to take care of my grandma, and she has enough money to never bother her father again in life. So I went for it, and we almost pulled it off. Booker, she smacked her forehead. No. Trust me, that's what all of my friends said. Meemaw, too. She was real disappointed. So how did it end up? Were you foiled by some kids and a dog in a mystery van? Dupree figured out the scam after we got married. Well, how long did you fake date her? I laughed. A couple of months. And it wasn't fake dating per se. We dated. We had fun. We had sex. But we weren't in love. And that shit wasn't going to last forever. But he paid for a wedding and everything? Hell no. We went to the courthouse and got married. Tara and her dad went back and forth about the money for almost a year. She changed her name to mine, moved me into her apartment, tried to convince him that we were actually married. One day, Dupree walked into my office and shut the door. He sat in that chair and said he was going to level with me, that we both knew she scammed me. He asked me what it would take to get me to walk away. I told him about my grandmother, what I needed the money for. Mima was real sick by this point, and I was working like crazy to pay hospital bills. She needed an oxygen tank and regular delivery and so many medications. Slowly, I wagged my head. It had been a long time since I laid the whole story out. Once I started talking, no matter how fantastic and outrageous it sounded, I couldn't stop. He cut me a deal. He would let her think she'd get something if she annulled our marriage. We were still within an allowable time frame, and considering the entire thing was a scam, we would have no problem getting a judge to sign the order. If I signed those papers, he would pay me a lump sum, and I would just walk away. I shrugged. I guess if I was in love with her, I would have been offended, but it had been a long year of being married to her and not getting the benefit that I had married her for. She obviously felt the same. She had the papers drawn up. I signed. Dupree walked in with the check just as she was signing and handed it to me. When she realized I was getting paid, she blew up. Wow. Sienna's jaw had dropped lower and lower the more of my story I told. I wouldn't have believed it either if I hadn't lived it. How toxic. What a fucked up relationship with your father. Dupree wants her to be someone else's problem, but he also wants control of her. She wants to be independent, but she also wants daddy's money. They play these games with each other, and I somehow got mixed up in it. The whole family is a bowl of nuts. I'm happy to not be related to those folks anymore. It's weird knowing the inside information like that. Like, that's who's running that company? How are they doing so well? I shook my head. How Double X does the numbers it does is a mystery. It's good software, but they're set to topple. A feather could knock them over. Well, we're about to topple them, aren't we? Sienna winked at me. I laughed. We? Yes, we, as in precision, right? Right. We. Let me ask you something, though, Booker. She paused, waiting for my eyes to flick back up to hers. Do you think there's another kind of we happening here? My eyes locked onto hers. She was asking exactly what I wanted her to ask. I had an idea of how she wanted me to answer. What do you think? Maybe I'm hoping so, but I'm asking to be clear because you might have workplace drama PTSD. I laughed at that. I definitely hope there's another kind of a we happening here. Otherwise, my penis is at the wrong party. She laughed out loud in my face. Oh, God, no. Her lips still bent into a sultry smile as she leaned into me. He's at the right party. Sienna, I whispered, just before the distance between us closed, just before I hit the point of no return, so long as I didn't get an objection from the other side. She froze. You heard that whole story, and you still want to make this move? You know what you're doing? Yeah, I heard that whole story, and I know exactly what I'm doing. The last thing I want is more workplace drama. I've had enough of that. I sense that you're a grown woman who can handle her business, and I don't think you're trying to scam me. I can't not be interested in you, Sienna. But Anthony told me. Anthony looks out for me like an overbearing big brother should. I understand his concern because we work for the same company, but yeah, I'm grown. And so are you. And it's just you and me right now. He told me that I need to pay attention to men that are paying attention to me. She moved again, so she was even closer, tucking a hand between my thighs and gripping my length through my jeans. Are you paying attention to me, Booker? A slow smile crept across my lips. Parts of me are paying very close attention to you, Sienna. We will finish up with the last two chapters in this festive holiday short in our next episode. I so hope you are enjoying Sienna and Booker. They're a lot of fun to write, and they're kind of fun to read. I really like going back through these. Until then, I hope you all take care of yourselves, wash your hands, wear a mask, drink lots of water, get plenty of rest, and read a lot of books. Till next time.